Welcome everybody to History International Film Festival Austria of this year's edition, 2024 it is. And today we have two of the geniuses behind Left Foot Forward with us, Lankri and Raphael Federer. The two will introduce the film in a few sentences, in a few minutes to us, so everybody can know what will await them if and when they watch it in our festival when it airs. So, Raphael, I leave it to you who wants to talk about what, but if you don't mind, would you be so kind and describe what your film is about and what awaits the viewer if he dives into it?
Do you want, Raphael? Or?
I think you should start with that. I will add some specifics about the picture, but I mean that everybody will see. But I think give it a little bit more insight.
So it's about a little family of a daughter and a father, and the father is a believer of superstition, and the daughter is a complete atheist, and she's due to be married, and the father has chosen the groom for her. And she's not expecting anything good to come out of it. And so she plays with his superstition in a way that could evoke bad luck. But in the end, she finds that the groom is actually to her liking. And so whatever she did becomes a bit of a threat to her upcoming marriage. And so the plot's getting, how to say, things evolve from there.
Getting out of hand.
Out of hand. In God's hand.
Okay. Raphael, maybe you want to add something to that?
Well, we had the lucky chance that in the Pyrenees we could find some places that somewhat matched the era, even though I don't think that we were looking for a specific era, but for sure something that is more analog, remote, and just not connected to the modern world as much. And so that way it gave us a certain atmosphere that always felt that you could be, privately having any kind of certain attitude or style of living for yourself there without anybody interfering or giving you this kind of that's off time or you're out of this world. But so it felt pretty quickly like, here you could really dive inside any kind of your own made up world and superstitions and really start believing, because there's no other voice that would challenge that. And so it gave us a nice basis to play with that. Difficulty maybe was lighting concerns, since we've been a very, very tiny skeleton crew, and also if you're thinking about a world without electricity, then there's not a light that you can switch on, so it's only candles and moonlight and daylight. And with the given gear and possibilities that we had, it was sometimes a challenge, but I think it turned out at the end pretty nicely. Now I really like to watch it. At the beginning, I was not sure if I could really bend it with the grading, and the good was that we could find costumes and everything as well. That was amazing, because it helps you a lot to imagine or oversee everything that you shouldn't see in a place like that.
Yep. Okay, let's take a step backwards and look at the foundations and ideas that brought you to making this film. What was the first idea you had that put you on the path to make this piece?
So I was really interested in superstitions, and I started researching. Oh, that's nice. And I started researching superstitions from any continent, and I encountered the idea of ghost marriage, which is the tradition to marry a deceased, and um, and it's practiced until this day. It's still legal in France, for example, where we shot the film. And I found it really interesting. Like I looked at pictures from that time, and you see, like in China, for example, you see like a bride that is very nicely dressed next to a groom that is very nicely dressed and is dead. And I was really interested in that, and that was like the initial seed for the script. And from there, I researched other superstition from the area where we were shooting, and that's where we found all the little stuff from the horseshoe to the nails, like not trimming the nails and the mirror and all the things you can see in the film. And actually, when we came to the shooting location, the first thing we saw is that there's a horseshoe above the door, like from that was originally there, which was a really nice surprise. Yeah, so that was the seed to the script.
Okay. Now that the film is available on film festivals with ours as well, what plans do you have to distribute it to the public? Is there already plans to go further and to dive even deeper into the story, to explore it more, to make like a sequel or prequel of something?
Or like, was it a test shoot and you're planning a feature film on the same subject?
So not on the same subject, like in the same genre. I'm exploring the genre of magical realism, and me and Raphael, we worked together on a few films so far. And now we're working on a bigger project. We're working on our feature film. It's called The Maintenance of the For Granted. And we're like in a first draft now and looking for funding for production. So that's where we're, yeah.
Okay, maybe if you got a link for us, we can also link it in the description of the film if you'd like to. Raphael, you said that you worked with candlelight and with the moonlight and stuff like that. Was working with natural light a goal for you with the production, or did you adapt to the situation?
Well, maybe not a goal, but for sure to keeping it inside a tight frame, because when you know that you don't have the resources of, I don't know, building big HMI sets that keep on lighting for, I don't know, days in the same manner, and really needing to push the capabilities of the camera to the maximum of just, well, getting something out of it that could even look worse than a pretty clear commercial picture, but that's also what you're looking for, in a manner of, you don't want it clear and like perfect, but it's more diving into this kind of like slightly dusty and dirty situations, and a little bit more grittiness. Um, it it helped keeping it possible, and it's also, I mean, lighting it by candles and moonlight means as much as motivating it by candles and moonlight, and obviously forcing a little bit more, but having the possibility of justifying easily why there is a little bit of light where there could be no light, and not making a very, very complicated setup around it, but just telling, okay, well, this picture looks pretty because there's this candle, and that's all that we have. We don't want 2 million sources around and making it very, very shiny and whatever. So most of the time there was just a light coming from outside that gives me a little bit of a basis. And then, yeah, candles. I love candles. I mean, even with a high ISO, sometimes you can imagine that you can see a little bit something. We didn't shoot with an Alexa at that time, so it was really like an imagination. But it worked. It worked well, and we used that the principle in many movies already, just because well, the framing of shooting it was not giving you more of an opportunity of having, like scenes. I don't know, let's say a 30-second scene shot in a day, but rather 3 or 4 minutes shot in a day.
Mm.
And to be quick, I think there's no other version than keeping it as small as possible while trying to make it look like still the intention is making a movie, not just a capturing of what happens. And we continued that way on what she just mentioned, the maintenance for granted, the maintenance of the for granted.
Yeah.
The current or last project, we kept on going that way, but just refining it even a little bit more, and it's developing really nicely. And we also think of how you can approach productions and telling them that obviously it's not your idea of keeping it small because you don't want to do it differently, but that you're very capable of achieving a cinematic world without the big truck behind the house that is, giving you all the resources and needing at least a staff of 40 people.
Yeah. So I think it's in the spirit of our festival to show pictures that are not on the mainstream media available and find other ways to produce something creative and unique. And I think you did very well in that regard. It's one of the most pleasing films to the eye, and also that makes you wonder and makes you think about the world and the structures that you present. And there comes something to mind, because you are taking the phenomena of medieval times, and you depict it in a rather more newish, more new time-ish scenario, because the clothes and the surroundings, they are obviously not in medieval times.
Mm-hmm.
Still, you put the film in our festivals category of the Middle Ages, which is you found in the idea of the phenomena you grabbed. But where can we and when can we imagine to be when we immerse ourselves in the film?
So usually, like, since we're telling tales in a way, it's supposed to be universal and timeless. And in that way, like, you shouldn't relate to any specific history, like real time, but just to something that you can imagine yourself in, like in a fairy tale. And so this is like the unspecificness of the situation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because in this way you reflect on historical structures and not give yourself up to the way of the reenactor, because we have a lot of films in our festival that are made by reenactors and with the mindset of the reenactor to depict specific clothes and to give an authentic look of the time. And you tried to put a general idea into focus that is present through time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we are now in with minutes, like 14 minutes. We will proceed to your ending words if you want to give the audience something more, or to invite them to your next production, or to have a keen eye on something specific when watching Left Foot Forward. Please be so kind and end our interview in your own regards.
I wanted to share a funny anecdote from the shooting, that we have a moment in the film where the actors fall from the horse, and actually in the shooting, when we were not shooting, the horse really started running and the actor actually fell from the horse, and we didn't catch it, and then we faked it in the editing like we planned to anyway. So it could be funny to imagine it when you look at the film. I say that we're really happy to share the film in your festival and to have this stage to share it with your audience. And we're happy to meet other filmmakers or collaborators or to know producers, any partners in the filmmaking industry. We're like a small group that's working together for a while, and we're happy to evolve and meet new people. Yeah.
And we are trying to build up a kind of family crew and stuff because we believe that it works best when you get to know people tightly more and more. It's always good to meet new people, but I think at some point it becomes inspiration and exchange, and the circumstance in which you want to work and what we tried now for, I don't know, how many movies, 7 or 8 in the meantime?
Yeah.
So you really learn to get to know each other's mindsets, and it becomes so much more easy to communicate, and also then to communicate it further, because I mean at some point you need a little bit of a crew, some people that help you and that also believe in the vision that you have. And I think it's so much easier to convey that when you feel that there is a somewhat, well, tradition-based collaboration happening in between you. And so, yeah, I think everybody who identifies with that, we would love to get to know those. And also, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Yeah, definitely. It's a nice experience.
Are we correct in assuming that you are already collaborating over large distances because your backgrounds seem a bit apart from each other?
Yes.
I'm talking from Israel right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm from Germany, and sometimes we manage to meet, mainly in France.
Okay.
Sure, guys. You really are acting in the spirit of our festival. So we thank you very much for taking your time for the interview. We wish you all the best for your next productions, and thanks a lot for submitting your film to our festival and giving us a chance to show it to the public.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great festival.
Yeah.
Thank you.